Now today, very good morning, and today we are starting with curved surface submerged in the liquid. You can see in the diagram also, this is the curved surface that is being submerged inside the water. We have to calculate the total force, total pressure, and center of pressure. Now let us consider a curved surface AB. This is A and this is B. This is the curved surface. We are assuming it in a static fluid as shown in the figure. It is static. It is not moving. That fluid is not moving, and it is static, standing. That dA is the area of the small strip at depth of H. Now, this is the depth H, and this is the small strip with area dA. This small strip. The pressure intensity on the area dA is rho G. Pressure intensity on the area dA. So it is written as dA is equal to rho G. It is not dA. It is P equal to rho G. This is the pressure intensity on area dA. This is small area dA, and pressure at this on this is equal to rho G. Now pressure force Pf rho P is equal to rho G. How do you get that? This is from hydrostatic law. We have already done, right? P is equal to rho G, hydrostatic law that has been done in the last lecture of pressure force Df is equal to P into area. Now, as we know, force upon area is equal to pressure. Now, if you multiply pressure with the area, you will get force, change in force, and rho G H into dA. Now we are multiplying it with dA, small area. So that we have considered this area is this dark surface we have considered as small dA, right? Hence, total pressure force on the curved surface should be. Now, if you integrate this, you will get the total force. F is equal to integration of rho G H dA. But here, as a direction of force of a small area are not same, but varies from point to point. Hence, integration of C1 for curved surface is important. Now, area keeps on increasing or decreasing, so it is not possible to get uh, integrate this particular area. So, what is to be done is the problem can, however, be solved by resolving the force dF in two components, Fx and dFy, the x and y direction. We have to resolve these forces into. Now this dF is acting normal. You can take two components, one vertical component and another one horizontal component. You can resolve these forces. This is dF acting normal to the surface. If you try to integrate, this is not possible. You cannot. Sometimes the calculation become very difficult. So it is very difficult to calculate these integration. To solve this problem, we have to take the component of this particular force. Component of force in x direction, component of force in y direction. Now, component of force in x direction is equal to dfx, and component of this force in y direction is dfy. The total force in x and y direction, that is fx and fy, are obtained by integrating dfx and dfy. And total force on the curved surface is equal to. First, you have calculated dfx and dfy. Then, if you want to calculate total force, you can take the scale of both and take in the root of it. Integration of the resultant with horizontal is taken as tan theta, tan phi, fy by fx. Now here you can see this curved surface is theta degree angle, right? If I say df, this should be df cos theta, dfy is equal to df cos theta, and dfx is equal to df sin theta, sin theta, right? This is how you can calculate it. Now, how to resolve these forces? The resolving the forces df given by this equation. Now, df is this, and this is dfy, and this is dfx. Resolving this forces dfx is df sin theta and df cos theta. Now, we will add this. This is rho g h dA, and if you add sin theta and cos theta along with it, now total force is equal to integration of dfx rho g h dA sin theta, which is equal to h dA sin theta and h dA cos theta. Now, EF is equal to dA sin dA, FG is equal to dA sin theta. I will elaborate this how we have taken this also. Let us do it on board, right? Just wait a minute. Now, starting with this, Let us draw this diagram first. Now this is the curved surface and this is filled with water. We have to calculate the force exerted on the curved surface. Force exerted on a curved surface submerged inside the liquid. First of all, consider a surface AB. Then, first of all, calculate the pressure intensity. Pressure P according to hydrostatic pressure rho GH, that is equal to hydrostatic pressure, hydrostatic law. Right? P is equal to rho GH. Just wait a minute. This is pressure according to hydrostatic pressure or hydrostatic law equal to rho GH. And if you want to calculate dF force, small change in force, that should be equal to P into dA, small area. That we have considered this dA, small area. Now, the value of this force is pressure is rho GH into dA. Now, to calculate total force, F must be integrated rho GH dA. But in actual practice, the area at this point is not equal to area. This is like this. You take it a straight line also. Now area at this end and this end are not equal and it will be integrated straight away. So it is not possible to integrate this. It is not possible to integrate this. So this can be solved by taking components. There can be two components. This is dfx force, and there can be two components in x direction and y direction. That this curve, and if you calculate this is 90 minus theta, and this is again theta. Right? Theta, if you take this as 90 minus theta, this is again theta, and this is again 90 minus theta. So, if you want to calculate these components of this force, so the component of force that is having along the angle, so that will be taken as cos component, and the component that is opposite to that, it will be taken as sin component. Right? So we are to take two values dfx. Now this is dfx and that is equal to sine component df sine theta and dfy is df cos theta. Just resolving the component. If you have calculated this force in fx and in x and y direction, to calculate total force, you can use force F is equal to under root of dfx square plus dfy square using Pythagoras theorem, right? If you know this, now this one is dfy, this is dfx, and if you want to calculate df using Pythagoras theorem, this df square is equal to dfx square plus dfy square. So we are using this formula, this Pythagoras theorem to solve this. This f is equal to fx square plus fy square, right? Now to calculate sin phi, you can also calculate for this tan phi also. This you want to calculate the angle tan theta, you can calculate tan theta also. Tan theta is equal to this fy by fx. Tan theta is equal to fy by fx. Now this is your dfx and dfy. To calculate this, convert it into fx and fy. You can integrate dfx and dfy. Let me erase this portion. Convert into fx and fy. dfx is equal to df sin theta and df is equal to rho gh into dA sin theta. If you want to calculate fx, then this is dfx, and if you want to calculate fx, integrate rho gh dA sin theta. You will get fx, value of fx, and similarly fy can be calculated rho gh dA cos theta. Integration of this will result into fy. Any questions up to this? Okay. Fluids and rigid body motion. As you see in the diagram also, a container filled with some oil, milk or some liquid that are contained from one place to another, that comes under this category. When the fluid filled water or fluid filled tankers move, what type of forces are there that are acting on the container, and how much inclination it is given to that particular liquid. Now we'll study step by step. In this section, we obtain a relation for the variation of pressure in fluids moving like solid body with or without acceleration in the absence of any shear stress. Now, you all know this water tank and milk tank moves on road constantly to transport milk and water and oils such as, right? Such types of motion. So containers are filled with some liquid. They are moved from one place to another. Similarly, sometimes it is the horizontal movement of that particular container. If there is some liquid that is contained in some vertical liquid that moves from ground floor to top floor and then top floor to ground floor, that type of movement, vertical movement is there. What type of forces are there when there is a vertical movement of fluid and there is a horizontal movement of fluid? We have to study that, right? Many fluids such as milk, gasoline are transported in tankers in an accelerating tank. The fluid rushes to the back and some initial cracking occurs, but then new free surface is formed. Each fluid particle assumes the same acceleration, and entire fluid moves like a rigid body. When the tanker starts moving, there is a constant movement of water at the back end. Suppose that tank is moving like this. Now there will be a constant force that is acting on the fluid that pushes the fluid at the back end, right? But ultimately it may be in equilibrium after some time. That we have to study that equilibrium, with at which angle it will get equilibrium. Let me show you some diagram. Suppose this tanker is moving. This is the tanker, and it is moving in this direction. Initially, it is the position is the height of that liquid is up to this. When it starts moving, a constant angle is formed, right? That fluid will align like this. The height at front end will be lower and the height at the rear end will be higher. So we have to study that. Right? Each fluid particle assumes the same acceleration and the entire fluid moves like a rigid body. After some time, when it is attained some constant speed, liquid will follow a constant contour and that will be followed. No shear stress develops within the fluid body since there is no deformation, thus no change in force. Rigid body motion of fluid also occurs when the fluid is contained in a tank that rotates about an axis. When it is moving, there is no shear stress. Like fluid keeps on moving, sliding on one over the other when a fluid is moving. But in this case, there will be no shear stress. No movement of fluid layers one above the other. It will form a rigid body that is moving. Now we have to study the fluid in a rigid body motion. Consider a differential rectangular fluid element of side length dx, dy, and dz in x, y, and z direction. We have this cuboid which is having dx, dy, and dz. Y in this direction, x in this direction, and z in this direction. With the z-axis being upward in the vertical direction. Now z is in the upward direction. Noting that the differential fluid element behaves like a rigid body. Now Newton's second law of motion for this element can be taken as. Now Newton's second law is force is equal to change in momentum, right? So change in force delta F is equal to delta M into A. A is acceleration. And this fluid is moving from top to down on down to top. We are talking about this movement in that direction. Now delta M is PdV, rho dV. Rho is density, dV is volume, and volume can be calculated just calculating dx into dy into dz. Multiplying all these factors will result into volume of this particular cuboid. Now IA the acceleration and delta F the net force acting on that. IA is acceleration of this particular fluid element. Now this is a critical fluid element that we have considered. Now the moment or the acceleration of this is taken as delta A, and volume is taken as force is taken as delta F. Force that is acting is equal to change in momentum ma, right? Now there are two types of forces acting on particular fluid. When it is moving top and down, and this particular fluid element is moving from either in the upward direction and the downward direction, then there will be two types of forces. One is body force, that is weight of the particular element, and that is gravity that acts throughout the entire body of the element and are proportional to the volume of the body. Also, electrical magnetic force, which will not be considered in this force. There should be some electrical forces, magnetic force, but it is not going to be considered in this particular course, fluid mechanics. Now, the second forces that are there is surface forces or the surface tension of that particular element, such as pressure force that acts on the surface of the element and are proportional to the area, just as are also surface forces, but they do not apply in this case since the relative position of the fluid element remains unchanged. As we consider that the whole of this liquid is assumed as a solid now. Once it has taken a particular shape and it is moving and it acts like a solid, there is no relative sharing of the layers one over the other. Then we consider this as a solid body and there is no shearing stress. So we consider only surface forces, that is pressure forces. Right? Two types of forces are there. One is weight that is acting downward, always downward, mg, and pressure force that is rho gh that we have to consider every time to calculate the problems related to the movement of fluid. Now, first of all, we are going to consider that is liquid container subject to constant horizontal acceleration. Now we have to consider only horizontal acceleration. That is just like a gasoline or some liquid that is being transported from one place to another, they all come under horizontal acceleration, right? So this is the diagram that is on your screen. Initially, this is the tanker, and that is moved first. Initially, standing still, it is stationary. Once it starts moving, say in this direction, in right direction, this fluid will align itself in this, like at this angle. We will consider this small element C to calculate the forces. Right? Now this is the resolving of forces that I will do it on board also. First of all, we will understand this in PPT, then I will do it on board also. Now pressure force P exerted by the surrounding fluid on the element C. There should be first thing is pressure force that is acting on this C element because of this liquid that is surrounding it. Second one is the weight of the fluid element, that is mg acting downward. Now the second force that is there is mg, mass into gravity, now acting downward. Now third force, that is force acting due to acceleration of this particular element or this particular truck or tanker, that is ma, mass into acceleration of this element into mass, right? So there are three types of forces. First one is forces due to the pressure acting from all sides by the fluid element or fluid, that is pressure force. Second is gravity force, and third one is acceleration force that is acting horizontally. Now resolving the forces horizontally. Now let us study this diagram. Now this is C. This we have considered this element C. Now mg is acting vertically downward, mg, right? And this pressure force that is acting inward. Now this pressure is acting from all sides. It is acting downward, down, right? This is acting, sorry, downward. It is to the topward because there is no surface or no fluid at the top. Net upward force will be observed. Pressure force, right? This is pressure force P acting on this element C, and this mg. Mg is the gravity force that is acting, and third one is ma, mass into acceleration, that is acting in this direction. This is ma dash. Now theta is this fluid is inclined at an angle theta d. We have to calculate that theta, right? This is 90 minus theta. This is theta. It is perpendicular to this. This is 90 minus theta, and this is again theta, and this is again 90 minus theta. This is total 180 degree. This is theta, and it is 90 degree. It should be very perpendicularly downward. But in diagram it is shown somewhat at angle. But it is in actual it is normal to the surface, and it is 90 minus theta. And this is again theta, and this is again 90. So this is the resolving of forces. Now resolving the forces horizontally. First of all, we will resolve the forces horizontally in this direction. First force that is acting is ma in horizontal direction, that is acting in forward direction. And if you take mg, mg is acting vertically downward, and pressure force that is there. This is the pressure force. One is the horizontal component, and another one is vertical component. Now horizontal component is P sin theta, and MA. These are the two forces that are acting horizontally. Now mg cannot be horizontal. There will be no component of this mg that is acting vertical downward. So p sin theta plus ma is equal to 0. You can calculate p sin theta is equal to minus m. Now similarly resolving the forces in the vertical direction. Now we can resolve the forces in the vertical direction, this direction. Now mg is acting downward. This p is acting in the upward direction. There will be two components, p cos theta, and again it is in the upward direction. Now mg, p cos theta minus mg is equal to 0. They are in opposite direction. You can see this. Now the p is pushing that fluid in the upward direction, and mg is acting in the downward direction. These are the two opposite forces. So we will take p cos theta as positive and mg as a negative. P cos theta minus mg is equal to 0. Now p cos theta is equal to mg. Now tan theta will be equal to, if you divide these two, ma divided by mg, p sin theta divided by p cos theta will be equal to tan theta is equal to minus k by g. You divide 1 by 2. There will be a negative sign. That negative sign shows that the free surface of liquid is sloping downward. What is the meaning of this? My negative sign that it is sloping downward. This is sloping downward. Now we will do it up to this, then we'll do it on afterwards. Let me go to the board, and I forgot to record. So I have made this diagram for your reference, in which that fluid is aligned at particular angle, and that angle is theta, right? Now we have considered this small element, right? Now let us take or solve this component of this particular force. That should be three forces, right? Force to weight, and third one is force to motion of that particular object, right? So coming in this direction, the force because of the movement of this truck with acceleration A, right? Now we have considered this element, small element this, right? That is say E. We are considering this. Now weight is acting vertically downward mg, and movement of this truck is in direction ma. They are fixed. One is in the horizontal side and other one is vertically downward. Mg will act vertically downward, and ma, that is the movement of that particular body in vertical direction. That is it. Now the surface is making theta angle with the horizontal. Basically, we have to calculate that only, right? This is the horizontal and this is the surface. This angle is theta. Now this is 90 degree. Now, if you know this, it is total angle is 90. The remaining will be 90 minus theta. Similarly, if you calculate this is theta, again this is 90 minus theta. Now this is the pressure force that we consider this as theta angle. Now we are having P. We have to take the component and x direction. This is x component and in horizontal. Horizontal component will be cos theta and vertical component. Sorry, vertical component will be cos theta. Horizontal will be sin theta. We have resolved component. Then resolving the forces in horizontal direction under stable conditions, under equilibrium condition. That is, this angle is stabilized now. After that, there is no change in this angle. In horizontal direction, there are two forces. Horizontal direction is, in this cases, one is MA and another one is pressure force. Now this is acting in this direction. If you take the component, this is also in this direction and this PMA is also in this direction. That means both are in same direction. So you can take P sin theta plus MA is equal to 0 under equilibrium condition. Why we are taking 0? There is no change in this angle. Similarly, resolving the forces vertical direction, right? Now vertical direction is this direction. this direction we are having mg and p cos theta in the upward direction. Now we will take p cos theta minus mg is equal to 0. Now mass into gravity is acting in the downward direction. Now let us take this as 1 and now let us take this as 2. Or you can take this as p sin theta is equal to minus ma and p cos theta is equal to mg. Taking this term on the other side, this term on the other side, and then taking this as 1 and 2. Dividing 1 and 2. Dividing 1 and 2. Basically, what is to be calculated? This angle that this liquid will, the top surface of this liquid will form. So, if you divide this, p sin p cos theta, or sorry, this is this p sin theta. P sin theta is equal to minus ma divided by p cos theta is equal to mg, right? And you can take it separately also. Sin theta by cos theta is equal to minus ma by mg. Now m will be cut with m and p will be cutted with p. Now you are left with tan theta is equal to a minus a by g. This is what is required. Tan theta is equal to minus a by g. Now in this case, minus sign shows that the free surface of the liquid is sloping down. That is in the downward direction. If you have some question, you can ask me. If you have some problem, you can ask me. Now let us find out the expression for the pressure at any point T in the liquid mass subject to horizontal acceleration. Let the point D is at a depth of h. We have to consider this small d over here. We have to calculate, assume it height h from free surface. This is the free surface and its height is h. Consider the elementary position DE of height h. This is DE element. And cross-sectional area is dA. Now the cross-sectional area, the top surface it is dA, it is the bottom surface it is again dA. Now we have to consider this, and now we have to calculate the forces that are there inside the slip. And earlier we were discussing about the forces that are there on the surface. What is the inclination of this surface? Now, what is the pressure force inside the liquid? We have to derive the expression for that. So in this case, let us, before moving on to article, let's just think about how many forces should be there. First of all, let the first force is this pressure force, that is the pressure exerted by the liquid. First force. Second force might be that weight of the liquid. Now let us see, is there any other force that is acting on the surface? The two forces that are very common that should be there. That is, one is pressure force, P is equal to rho gh, and second is the force due to weight of the element, mg. Now this is the starting of this article. The forces acting on this prism DE in the vertical directions are. Now first of all, it is atmospheric pressure that we have ignored. Atmospheric pressure P naught into dA. Atmospheric pressure that is acting on this side. Now second element, that second force is weight of the element rho g h dA. Weight of the element rho g h dA. Now pressure force P into dA. Then net force acting vertically is 0. Now, how I have taken this rho g h dA. Let us see this. The cross sectional area is dA, height is h, right? Height of the element is h, and h into dA. If cross sectional area is dA and into height, it will form a volume, right? Volume into density, it makes a mass, right? Volume into density makes a mass. H is the height of the element, dA is the area of that element. If you multiply h into dA, it forms a volume. And if you multiply volume with the density, it makes a mass. If you multiply mass with the gravity, it makes weight. So that is the weight of the element, right? Then the force, pressure force, that is P into dA, and net force acting in the vertical acting vertically is 0, and net force acting vertically. Neither that element is moving upward or neither it is moving downward. So that force in the vertical direction is 0. So the force that is weight of the element that is acting downward, pressure force is acting upward, and this atmospheric pressure is also acting downward. Now let us see P into dA. This is the pressure force that is acting downwards. This P can be written as rho gh also. Minus P naught into dA. P naught dA is P is the atmospheric pressure into small element dA minus rho gh into dA. Now here we are not putting the value of P is equal to rho gh. P minus P naught minus rho gh. Now this is taken as negative. This is taken as negative. How? This P into dA. This pressure force is pushing this outwards. This weight is also pushing it downwards. This atmospheric pressure is also acting in the downward direction. So that is why there is a negative sign. P minus P naught into P minus PGH. Now P is equal to, you take it to the other side. P is equal to P naught into PGH, and P minus P naught is equal to PGH. Now P minus P naught is called gauge pressure. P minus P naught is called gauge pressure. That we have already done in the very much first 4 slides of this particular chapter. P minus P naught is called gauge pressure, and it is equal to rho gh. Now P is equal to rho gh, where P is gauge pressure. And if you want to calculate pressure head H, that is equal to P divided by rho gh. If you have some questions up to this, you can ask. Now what is to be studied is pressure forces. Pressure force that is acting on this surface, force that is acting on this surface. This end. We have to calculate that. Now H1 is the depth of the liquid at the rear end of the tank. You can see that this is the H1 height and this is H2 height. H1 is the depth of the liquid at the rear end of the tank, and H2 is the depth of the liquid at the front end of the tank. And F1 is the total pressure force exerted by liquid on the rear side of the tank. And F2 is the total pressure force exerted by liquid on the front side of the tank. Now force is equal to area of the triangle AML into width. To calculate the area of this is equal to the force of this F1 element. Area of this half into base into altitude, base into height into B, width of this element. B is width of this element. Half into this base is rho g h1 and height is h1 into B. B is the width. Width is how much it is towards the third coordinate. This is length, this is breadth, and this is the thickness. Right? Rho g h1 is this. Base is rho g h1 into B. Now if you calculate this becomes rho g B into h1 square by 2. Similarly, force at the other side. This is rho g h2 into h2. This is base, this is height, half into base into height into B. Rho g B into h2 square. Now B is the width of the tank perpendicular to the plane of the paper. Values f1, f2 can also be. This is the value of F1 and F2. You can calculate this F1 and F2 by using this formula. Now F1 is equal to, now there B is the width of the tank perpendicular to the plane of the curve, and F1 and F2 can also be obtained by using this rho G A1 H1 bar, where A1 is H1 into B, and where H1 bar is equal to H1 by 2. You use this formula to calculate this force. You need not to go to that formula. This is sufficient for your calculation. This much is sufficient. You need not to do this. It is same that is being derived over here. Rho GHB, rho GB H1 square by 2 and rho GB H2 square by 2. It is same that is derived over here. Need not to go to this. So it can also be proved that the difference of these two forces is required to accelerate the mass of the liquid contained in the tank. That is, if you subtract F1 minus F2, it is equal to mass. Right? Now I am going to do this on board also, and we'll finish this. Now, there are forces you want to calculate. F1, the force at rear end. Force at rear end. F1 is force at rear end, and F2 is force at front end. Now this container is moving in this direction with acceleration A. This is the front end and this is the rear end. H1 is the height at the rear end, and H1 is height at rear end, and H2 is height at front end. Calculate force equal to area of triangle, say ABC, D. F1 is area of the triangle ABC into width, and that is equal to half into base, that is rho GH1 into B. Similarly, F2 area of height into, this is base rho GH1 into H1 into B, area of triangle DEF into B, half of base, that is rho GH2 into H2 into B, and this is equal to rho G H1 square B by 2, and this is equal to rho G H2 square by into B by 2. This is the formula for calculation of forces at the front end and the rear end. And MA is equal to F1 minus F2. Can use this also. So, going to end this lecture. Let us take the third poll for today's lecture. Third and last poll.